Everybody, this is Vernon with Rhythm and Power, martial arts club at this point, trying to make it a studio in Atlanta, Georgia. But besides that point, I'm here to talk about sparring and tips to make you a better sparring partner. But first, I think for a baseline, social media arrogance 2026 has really changed what people's perception of sparring is. So I'm gonna get into that as a good foundation before I get into the tips. Now, as far as sparring, sparring is supposed to be a simulation of real world fighting. By that, I mean it's not a real fight. If you just want to knock people's heads off and beat people up, then go sign up for real fights. And you can hit people as hard as you want to. But also, it's not supposed to be this soft, real soft tapping patty cake, because if you do that, you're not really simulating for a real world fight. I know some people will say, oh, I'm not trying to be a fighter or anything like that. Cool. I'm not really trying to be a fighter. I do some amateur fights, so I'm not trying to be a fighter. But the big thing is, when you're learning these martial arts and you ever, God forbid, get in a situation where you have to defend yourself, you're going to rely on these martial arts. The thing with this is, I would think, the thing with this is, if you never really get into a state in sparring where you know how to take a bunch, you know how to land, you know your speed, you know your distance control, you know all these different things, you know what combos work and what combos you need to brush up on. You really won't be able to defend yourself with a certain degree of confidence, and you may overestimate your ability to defend yourself and end up hurt. So, with that being understood, the next thing is when you go to a school, I don't care if you're doing boxing, karate, Muay Thai, kickboxing, these schools are places where students like myself and other people are coming together to go on this martial arts journey to improve ourselves and get better at this craft and this hobby and this passion we have for whatever martial art. These are your teammates, the same way football, basketball, baseball, badminton, whatever, you have different teammates that you're working with to get better at your sport. So when you're sparring with people, you're sparring with teammates and you don't want to knock their noodles loose. You want to get better, you want to provide feedback, and you want to grow as a community, as a group, so everyone gets better. So there's just some things to keep in mind when I go through the tips, and some of this may be reiterated with the tips. Just wanted to give that foundation. So tip number one, you want your sparring gloves to be different from the gloves that you hit the heavy bag with and the gloves you do for drills. Hitting heavy bag, doing drills, one set of gloves. Hitting people and sparring, different set of gloves. Now, one thing to keep in mind is even if you do a fight, I don't care if it's pro, amateur, whatever, they give you a brand new set of gloves. You have to keep in mind, when you're hitting the heavy bag, especially, you are destroying or degrading the gloves. I'll give you an example. If you look at these gloves, you can see these little ridges, right? These gloves are very close to being blown out, if you want to consider them blown out already. So I would not take these gloves and hit my teammate upside the head with them, because at this point, the cushion is gone and they're pretty much getting knuckles. So yes, it does cost more money to have two pairs of gloves, but it's a kind thing to do for your teammates, so that you're not hurting them. Also, use 16-ounce gloves. Okay? You don't have to go all the way to 20 ounce. I don't really even know why they exist. But you don't want to use 12 and 10-ounce gloves. Those are gloves for fighting. 16-ounce gloves are gloves for training. Also, another thing, and I'm pretty sure most people do this, but I don't really wrap my hands when I'm just hitting the heavy bag or doing drills, because like the way they do in karate, I'm conditioning my fists. But when you spar, just to know, wear some hand wraps. I don't care if it's gloves. I don't care if it's the old school wraps, but wrap your hands. That puts additional cushion between the person's face and rib cage and your fists. So that's tip number one. Separate equipment so we're not doing a bunch of damage and causing concussions. Tip number two, before you spar, I don't care if it's boxing, I don't care if it's Muay Thai, tap the opponent's gloves, or if you're doing not boxing but something else, you can bow and say oos. That's what I do. I say oos, and pretty much it's a greeting, it's a term for dang near everything, goes back to Japan, but it's acknowledging that the other person is engaging in this with you, and you're acknowledging that they're sacrificing in this too, that we're coming together to do mutual combat to get better, but you're acknowledging them as a person. This setting the stage of tapping the gloves, saying oos. If you don't know the person, you may say, hey, my name is Vernon. What's your name? Build a little bit of rapport. Really sets the stage as far as we respecting each other in this engagement of sparring. We're not trying to destroy each other. A lot of people don't do this, and I feel like it's best practice to do whenever you're about to spar somebody. And so then if anybody does get hit hard by accident, you can pretty much feel like it was an accident. It wasn't ill intent behind it. Tip number 3, I always do this. I don't care if it's at my gyms or I go to other people's gyms. I always ask how long you've been doing this. Now, you will have arrogant people that say stupid stuff. And this happens to me. I've been doing it long enough. I've been doing it a couple years. If someone says that to you, I just assume they've been doing it a long time and then I spar them. I've been doing martial arts for like 6.5 years. So it's not the longest length of time, but I'm not really a newbie to this. I would say like I'm a journeyman, I'm mid-tier. But if somebody says they've been doing this 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, my approach to the sparring is going to be different. If you only been doing this for 1 year, maybe 2 years, I'm not really going to be throwing advanced moves at you. I'm not going to be throwing no jumping, spinning back kick. I'm not going to really do a spinning back fist. And I will also tell the person, since I'm the more elder person in the sparring right now, more senior person, I would say, especially if it's less than a year, hey man, I just want you to work on staying in your stance, your movement, and try to land not 1-2 punch combos, but 3 to 4 punch combos. Really trying to build their confidence up and really getting them to think about defense and stuff like that. Also, if they only been doing it for a few years and you're more senior, provide them feedback while you're sparring. Hey man, I caught you with this. Hey, that's a good, even positive. That was a good kick. They really need to work on building their confidence so that they stay in this martial arts journey at this gym. Again, at the gym, it's a community. At least that's what I'm planning on building. It's a community. So we need to be there to give criticism and positive feedback as a community, as a group, as teammates. Now, sometimes you run into this, and I run into this a lot because I'm heavier. A lot of people be like, I've been doing this long enough. You would spar them and quickly see they're not good, right? For some reason, I've been seeing this in Atlanta. They're not good. So we go, we spar, they're not good. And they're talking like they're good. And then they quickly see, oh crap, I'm getting hit with stuff. I don't use this to beat the crap out of them. Once I do this sparring engagement and see the skill set they're at, I let it go. I will now know in my head, if I'm sparring with Dave, he's at this skill set. Don't try to embarrass him. Don't try to hurt him. But we need to have that baseline and really build that communication of saying, how long you been doing this? I say how long I've been doing it. Some people, especially when they're doing like 3 years or less, I say 6.5 years, they feel like that's a long time. And like, oh man. And I'm like, man, I'm not even really going to hit you. I'm mainly going to hit your body. But it builds that rapport and it builds that relationship. Tip number 4, have conversations on the power level. Now, I know this is number one on social media where people, they either don't want to embarrass themselves by saying, hey man, you're hitting me too hard, or they want to just hit the person as hard as possible, especially when they're recording themselves so they can look good. It's really bad in boxing. It's really bad in Atlanta, so I was very careful what gyms I go to. But with this being the case, even me, my weight fluctuates from 270 to 300. That's just how I've been my whole life. I'm just a naturally big. All the men in my family are big. So I'm naturally heavy-handed, right? A lot of times I do not know how hard I'm hitting you. So in the conversation, I would say, even in the beginning, what power level do you want to be at if someone's like less than 4 years? I would just ask that conversation, understand if they're like 3 to 4 years, so they're not brand new. So I know they're going to be giving me like a little bit of work, but I know, or they're like my size, I will ask this question. And while I'm landing, if I notice I hit someone clean with something and it was a little bit hard, I will apologize in the middle of sparring. But also, I've told people you're hitting me too hard. This mainly happens for smaller people. Big people know, like, if we hit each other hard, someone's getting knocked out. It doesn't take much. But a smaller person, for some reason, will see a bigger dude as a punching bag and really be swinging for the fences. And maybe they just think they're not doing any damage. But I would tell them, like, hey, can we bring the power level down? It's not me humiliating myself. It's me being an adult and having a conversation. So when I tell them that, most people don't know they're hitting that hard. They respond well, and we can continue to spar and match and spar together. There's no issue. But the thing I say that is because, okay, you hit me hard. I start hitting you hard. Me hitting you hard is different than you hit me hard. You hit me hard, I get aggravated. Why this dude hit me hard? I hit you hard, you would take a knee. That has happened before with people my size for some reason trying to fight me. And then, they get messed up. So we have to do better and have these conversations about power level. And again, these are teammates. We need to view them as teammates, not you just this solo person just doing whatever you want to and being selfish. Rule number 5, or tip number 5, I'm sorry. Tip number 5 is very important. And one of the reasons that I'm glad I went to a martial arts gym first instead of a boxing gym. So let's say me and you are sparring. My belief is do a combo and then reset. Do a combo and then reset. Most gyms I went to and did this, it hasn't been a problem. Why? Because a lot of times, if you were to do a 1-2-3, like let's say I do 1-2-3, jab, cross, hook. I catch someone on the hook or the jab or the cross hook, it lands. I don't have to keep going with the combo or keep pressing forward on them. We need to reset and then go again. Now, if they block it or it's grazing or it's not doing a lot of damage, we can keep going. But there's no point in me just beating my opponent up like I'm in a fight. So we reset. I may tell them like, hey, I caught you with this 3 because your hand was down, or maybe you should dip when you see my shoulder move. And that's why I caught you. We're having that open dialogue and we're getting better. Now, as people get more senior, I would put more forward pressure on them, but I still stick to that combo, reset. Combo, reset. It doesn't mess you up when you go to fighting, believe me, because honestly, sometimes you need to reset in a fight so you can get your win and not burn your energy tank out. 6th tip, and it's the last one, provide feedback. If you're a senior person compared to the person you're sparring with, and I'm not saying like they've been here 3 months, you've been here 5, but you've been here 3 years or been doing this for 3 years, the person been doing it 1. We have a responsibility to provide feedback. A lot of times in these martial arts gyms, there may be 20 students in the class. The coach doesn't have the ability to sit and watch each student and talk to them, or even if it's 5 rounds going, 5 people sparring, 5 pairs sparring, the coach doesn't have time for that. So being in that community, I feel like we should take the owner's responsibility to talk to people about what they could be doing better, what issues they have, and really work with them on this. So if you're more experienced, this only helps you more with more understanding of the fundamentals and being able to communicate this to somebody. So maybe in the future, you may want to open up your own gym, your own club or whatever. You will have more experience on how to communicate with people and teach people these things. Also, people are very appreciative of this. And there's nothing more rewarding than going to a gym and after a year seeing the people who struggled in certain areas improve and seeing yourself improve. So these are the tips I will keep in mind. And if you do this stuff, people will view you, sparring you as more of a coaching and more of someone they can trust instead of saying, Vern's going to come in and knock my head off. It's much more fun to have a friendly atmosphere in sparring. Yes, we're pushing each other, but it's a good environment and a good atmosphere. And if you have a coach that is sitting there watching people get their heads knocked off and not doing anything, then you should probably consider leaving the gym. Also, if you have a coach that's not pushing people and letting people play patty cake, you should probably leave the gym because it gets to a point where you're not actually growing and learning anything. And a lot of times I will go to a different gym and do a class and spar with them. I do a whole separate video on that because this is another can of worms to that, to see, am I progressing the way I think I should progress. But again, if you're doing stuff patty cake, you may feel safe. I'll call that cosplaying as someone doing martial arts, because if you actually get pushed with someone doing martial arts, you will quickly see your reaction time, your timing, all that is off because you're moving very slow. It's like trying to tackle in football and you're playing two-hand tag. It's completely different. So something to keep in mind. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you have any comments. Anything else you want me to discuss. Again, I do boxing, kickboxing, done Muay Thai, karate style for my kicking. I can talk about a lot of stuff. But thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Talk to y'all later.